It's a tough day for friendships, and there are so many ways to lose. We're still discovering our weaknesses, but don't worry, we'll give you a list. Welcome back to the Trading Desk. My name is Ebube, and this is the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Here on the Trading Desk, we delve into the nuances and specific events and character motivations in HBO's industry as they follow up to the more all-encompassing, detailed breakdowns done by Bankole and Ayo, which drop every Sunday night right after the episodes air. We're also going to preview the coming episodes, specifically episode 7 of season 3, which is titled Useful Idiot. That's got to be fun. This week on Industry, though, in episode 6, we finally learned what happened on Nikki Beach, and we got a masterclass in all the different ways you can take an L in life. Thank you very much, Eric. We have learned a lot from you. Harper, Yasmin, and Eric all have terrible days, and Robert is done with work, with life, everything. So the question is, what do we make of this? I'm not going to be answering this question alone, though, as I am joined by people who pretty much have an answer for everything. Ebuka is with me once again, but this time we have a special guest. We are joined by Hajer of the Downtime with Hajer podcast. And Hajer is interesting as a guest because she also has a great deal of experience in the finance world as the exact kind of analyst who gets a migraine from this show yet keeps coming back anyway. This is it's all a toxic relationship everywhere, but nobody is judging. So welcome, guys. How are we feeling today?
We are feeling good. However, I will disagree with you. Harper's had a bad day in the sense that she got slapped, but what's a slap compared to $500 million in profit? Come on, guys.
This is a fair point.
Slap me 5 times, mate.
That's fair. But honestly, we can only give that to her if and only if this short actually manages to yield results and Peerpoint actually goes down. Because for all we know, something is going to happen that could change the trajectory of everything and essentially tank Leviathan Alpha instead of Peerpoint. Who knows?
Oh my God.
Interesting theory.
Oh, you know, I spent some time thinking about that, like what could cause a reversal in Peerpoint's fortunes after everything we've seen. But I don't like to theorize. Yeah. I like the show to lead me where it wants to.
I think I would place my bet if I was a betting man, if I was Rishi. I would place my bet on them following through on the collapse of this place, because I think the interesting thing about like Mickey and Conrad is that because they have experience in this world, they're cynical, but they still show the allure. But I think they still left, right? And I think there's something about this poison that they need to show the extent of its deadliness. And I think showing these people, especially the way they've shown the wealthy in the past few episodes, showing the real consequences of making these flagrant bets. It's why the Rishi episode, I think, is perfect, because finance is betting. And I think Peerpoint is a bad bet. And I think they're going to follow through on that.
Peerpoint is a bad bet, and they happen to be the best at making bad bets. I'm not going to shut up about this whole all our eggs in the ESG basket thing that they suddenly decided to do.
Guys.
But, there's so many ways that it's going to affect things. I will say thank you to everybody who's been following along with us up until this point. It's been a crazy season, and just as much as we've loved covering the show, we've loved listening to all of your takes. We've loved reading your tweets. We've loved replying your comments. A lot of these are amazing. And we actually love everyone who's decided to support us by buying us a coffee. The link to that will actually be in the description and in the show notes if you're listening on an audio platform. And just by the way, we are also covering Slow Horses, which is probably the best spy show on TV right now, probably in a long time. It takes the idea of a modern spy show to very interesting places. And in all honesty, Industry is in line for some of the top spots in all different ways that we evaluate TV shows this year. So in line with that, how do we rank this episode in terms of character, in terms of revelation, in terms of narrative, in terms of set pieces, locations. I mean, I feel like this episode is really, really high up there because it's doing so many things. For people who listened to Bankole and Ayo this week, they'll know that I was also there, and I've been in shock about this episode for quite some time because, I mentioned this during the recording, that I had been watching for about 30, 34 minutes and was like, wait, this is only halfway through. I need a break. There's too much happening in this episode. So how do we feel about that? How do we feel going into the episode? Where do we place it in terms of what it's done for the story?
I feel like I was speaking with Bankole as soon as the episode dropped, and he was like saying how this episode was perfect to him. And I think if you like a specific type of TV, this episode will be 11 out of 10, no notes, perfect for you, right?
I think I'm that guy.
Yeah, I'm going to try to speak about this episode, but what I've noticed in the last 2-3 episodes of Industry is that it's been really on the nose, right? Like, it's been on the nose with a lot of things it's saying. And initially, I was kind of taken aback because Industry kind of doesn't give you the lesson just full like that on its own, right? But I noticed in the last 2-3 episodes, they've been very transparent what they're trying to say. And I think it's because the chickens are coming home to roost, right? They don't want you to miss this. Like everything that they hinted will happen is happening, and they want they want to draw those lines for even the most oblivious viewer. They don't want you to miss it. They do
the
not
plot lines
want
are converging, essentially, is what you're saying.
Exactly. So that's how I feel about this episode. Even the episodes before it, I'm like, yes, they're showing and telling us that they knew what they were doing right from even season 1.
This is facts. Hajer, what did you think?
I really liked this episode. I felt like it was the culmination of so many arcs, and there's even a line in this episode that I feel sums up the thesis of the show as a whole, which is when Eric says in Cantonese, if you teach a man to count, you damn him for life, right? I think the show has been about counting wins, counting losses, counting piles of money, and I think the idea that when you want something and you can see it and you can find value in it, that you just want more, and that pursuit of more will always end badly. I think also even the pursuit of companionship and love in the wrong hands, false friendship or bad relationship can also be your end. And I really like where this season has gone. I'm very excited to see how they take it up another notch in the next week.
It's such a shame that Eric was delivering all these heaters while being an absolute creep, because he also had a line that I actually liked where he said, our lives are just the detours that our desire takes us on. And I was like, okay.
When he was trying to mansplain desire to the woman that he was sexually harassing, like, very good.
That's interesting. But why did you have to say it now, in this moment, to Yasmin? I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah.
Like, why are you talking about desire? It's like I was saying, right when I was watching the episode, it's like, bro, you have like just a tiny bit of your dignity left. It's a little like, let's protect this with our lives. But no,
HR on the line.
Mr. Tao. I think what they've done with Eric this season is so fascinating, but so brilliant because of how true it is. He literally represents the decline of the prestige of a job like this, and of also represents I feel like the chipping of the veneer that you experience when you enter this world. Like, I think the first season with his baseball bat and his bullish energy and his words, you kind of see him through the eyes of what a young, person will see him through, an ingenue looking for a mentor. And then as the show progresses, you watch the way, again, this world chips at him and his personal life, and you watch him turn into this disgusting old lech, and you're watching his desire and his hunger that does make him successful, make him inept and weak and flagrantly incompetent at his job, like wildly incompetent. Like some of the things he's doing, I'm like, why are you doing this? This is so
through
bad.
all of the season. Yeah, his sleepwalking is crazy.
Yeah, he's like drunk at work. Like,
yeah. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. He's drunk. What is it that Rishi says that he smells like a
Like a girls'
Glaswegian night
region
out?
night out.
Oh, you Glasgow, stand up.
That is
Exactly.
crazy.
I laugh. Not too this accurate.
I don't know. Like, first of all, I guess everyone from Glasgow is either like annoyed or kind of happy
I mean,
that they got it right.
we shrugged our shoulders and we're like, yeah, you know what? Fair enough.
Okay. Eric also manages to actually talk to Harper in this episode, and he even keeps up a little bit of the creepy energy while doing it. He's like, "Okay, you've got Daddy's attention." So when he gets there and he's yelling at her, what's the first thing that pops into you guys' minds? Is it like, okay, let's have it, or is it like, oh my god, what's
I was
this,
like,
what's this gonna
fuck
be?
it, let's go.
Did you think they were actually going to have like time to really have it out like this? Like, I didn't like. I wasn't sure the show was actually going to give us that. Like,
Yeah, I
before
didn't
the
see
end
it
of the
coming
season.
at all. I loved it though.
So this is my thing, right? I was listening to a podcast and they said industry does this thing where it makes every episode feel like a penultimate episode. And when Eric banged on that door, I was like, oh fuck, are we doing this? Like, are we doing this now? Is it happening now? Are they gonna finally shout at each other? And they did. They did. It's the kind of thing you build up an entire season for, and we got it with like 2 episodes to go.
Yeah, like it's like to me the Peggy and Don scene in season 4. We wait 4 seasons in Mad Men for that confrontation, or with Carmela and Tony, we wait 5 seasons for that confrontation, or like the end of 4. But with this show, it's like everything is on the table because everything is always ready to be risked. It reminds me of like Harper and just her suicide bomber tendencies. Like at the conference, she's ready to blow up her boss, her potential new boss, everybody. She's always ready to put the bomb on and just
Yeah,
go.
the stress
And I
on
think,
Petra's face that day says everything.
yeah, but I think that energy and the balls that the writers have to do that every week is just showing you that this show is leagues above everything that you think it is. It's better. Yeah.
I agree. And actually, you know what? On the topic of Harper, one of our Spotify listeners, a shout out to Glory Listens, had an interesting question for us. She said that she has to disagree that Yasmin is just so happy for Harper and isn't threatened by her. In season 1, we see how jealous she is of the autonomy that Harper is given. And again in season 2, she voices that Harper is just so good to Rob, who says the foot on the accelerator line. Harper isn't projecting at all. So this is in response to something Bankole, Ayo, and I discussed in the episode 6 breakdown, where we said that, Harper kind of might be projecting when she says that when she says that Yasmin must find it so difficult to accept that she made it on her own, right? So it was like, okay, is Yasmin really feeling that way? Is Harper actually projecting? Or is there something there that she's really seeing that she's latching onto, or is she kind of just insecure? Like, what do you guys think? Is Harper projecting in that sense?
I think Yasmin and Harper are just star-crossed friends. Like, they both hate each other and they're both jealous of what the other has. And they could live for a million years and Harper will never be able to use her sexuality or attractiveness the way Yasmin does. And Yasmin will never have that foot on the accelerator like Harper does, no matter how much she wishes she did. So it's the kind of thing where you admire someone for something to the extent where you hate them on Yasmin's side.
Yeah.
And then on Harper's side is that she is somewhat, I don't want to say disgusted. Disgusted is a bad word, but she's somewhat, she's annoyed that someone like Yasmin, with everything she has, is just skating through life while playing on something as trivial as sexuality.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think the fact that with everything she has, she still has that, which for some people is more than the money, right? Like they want that more than the money. They want that more than the polish and the languages and the name. They want her,
To be
basically.
desired, right? Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, female friendships are interesting in the sense that you have sometimes it's like very deep, intimate relationships that are also very codependent. And you also love this person with everything you are, but then you love them, but then you hate them because they're everything you're not. and you can admire them, and you can and cherish them, but you can still be jealous of them and envy them. And I think there's so many shows that explore that. Like, I know this show's bad, but like Pretty Little Liars actually does it really well. Oh, it's shit, bro. But like, it does do it pretty well.
Not them catching strays, yeah.
No, they gotta catch the strays, nigga. Y'all suck. But I think that's there as well. But I think this makes me want to mention Sweetpea, because I feel like Sweetpea, I just thought of this scene, the great scenes in this show, right? You have Sweetpea across the table from Harper, and then you have Yaz across the table from Harper and Petra. And I feel like Sweetpea is the person that Yaz fears being, but she's also the person Yaz wants to be. Like, Sweetpea is attractive, she's sexy, she's a bit reckless in the way she speaks, and she sleeps with her male co-workers.
She's
but
confident.
She's also competent and clever and intuitive and curious. And as a salesperson, right, you have to be the natural pursuer. That's the dynamic of the relationship. And Yasmin has just never had to pursue shit. Like, she's just not wired that way. And Harper is a wolf who will take her next meal from anything. And I think that those attributes are great for people who want to be friends and form this sort of codependent relationship where you're literally willing to cover up manslaughter. I don't know what to call it, but negligence, criminal negligence.
We're still workshopping it. We're still
workshopping it. But also the ability to show yourself so naked to someone. I would let someone die and they still want to protect you. It's a level of intimacy that people never reach with their husbands and their wives. So I think being able to be so intimate that you can be that naked in front of someone and tell them, I know you can do this horrible thing, but then also have them throw that back in your face and say, you are shit. You are a terrible person. It's like love in another way. I don't know how to explain it. It's horrible and it's mean and it's insulting, but you also have this deep love that comes from knowing each other so well. There's nothing as loving as to be known. And even when it's that someone knows the most evil, heinous thing about you, that they know it is a connection in and of itself. And I feel like this show builds on that so well. I feel like they took that relationship and they made magic with it, because there's nothing that they say to each other that is untrue. And yes, some of it is spite-filled and some of it is covered, but that Harper can say the same thing to Yasmin that her father says to her, and that Yasmin can say the same thing to Harper that her brother says to her. It shows just perfection. It's just perfect writing, I think.
I completely agree, because it's a double-edged sword, and their desires as well are a double-edged sword, right? As you kind of alluded to, Harper kind of wishes she could have that power of sex appeal that Yasmin has. And Yasmin wishes that she could have the savvy and somewhat ruthlessness that Harper has. But you see, if you want that thing, you have to get the other side of it too. Harper has the ruthlessness, and because of that, she's seen as basically the child of the devil.
Yeah.
And Yasmin has the sex appeal, but everyone thinks she's a whore, even if they're not saying it to her face, which, by the way, her father is saying it to her face in this episode. It's a bit much to take.
Not to get too poor things in the analysis, but Yasmin being a little bit bad at her job is probably part of her sexual appeal to certain men, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah.
So they see Harper and they're like, you're so good, you're so competent, make me some money. They see Yasmin and say, oh, poor thing. Look at you, trying to make a way, even though your dad is rich.
Oh my god! But you know what? That actually brings me back to Sweetpea, because that's somebody who is definitely from a very rich family. Like, I'm not going to believe
everyone
that.
Say this.
Her name is Sweetpea.
Okay, so I feel like I did this analysis at the start.
Thank you, Hajer.
I said the name Sweetpea lightly can come from either end of the class ladder, and I will die on that hill.
It could come from someone like a person who's like not that well off but obsessed with celebrities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It could.
Like the kind of person who collects pictures of like Princess Diana.
Sweetpea's mom.
And then
I'm telling you,
it could also be a very upper class name. However, her packaging and the fact that she has an OnlyFans makes me feel like she's upper class.
okay.
Literally, it's like Ayo said in that tweet that he saw about Sweetpea. It's like, how is she working at a top bank and still doing
She's an
OnlyFans?
analyst. She
This is
doesn't
the
earn
type
that
of
much.
greed that
Guys,
they talked about in the Bible.
Guys, how much do you guys like? She's an analyst. She doesn't earn that much.
Someone said Sweetpea has the same amount. Sweetpea's the only person on earth that has the same amount of hours in the day as Beyonce. She has all these friends to have all these
That's
conversations.
incredible.
She's actually good at her job. And she has an OnlyFans that is, by all reports, popping. So, I mean, she has fans in America. Someone from Iowa tipped her money. So, they don't even have
Iowa. They have aren't they all Mormons? Like what?
Oh my god. I'm laughing at us so many levels. You don't even understand all the levels in which that's funny. Oh my god. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Petra, because as we think about the coming episodes, we have to understand, or at least reckon with the fact that Petra has learned a lot this season. Petra is somebody who's been both in front.
She know the fear, man.
Yeah, she's in front of things, and she's also in the background, kind of just watching. She was initially telling Harper, like, you need to leave your animus at the door. We have to understand that we need to think clearly. We have to move with precision, especially because we don't have to cheat. We just have to be better. And she understands this because, you know, she's a woman, and she's a woman who's happened to get very successful in this field. That takes a certain degree of, you know, I'm not taking any nonsense, right? This is a very male dominated field, as many high earning industries are. So now we can at least it looks to me that she is almost using / weaponizing Harper's animus. It's like at first it was like, leave that at the door, but now it's like, let's see how we can. This is study how you operate, and this is why you got to this place. So maybe we can learn to control this. Yeah, because I was watching her in that scene where they were talking to, you know, all the ex Peerpoint people in the Council of Peerpoint's Destruction, which amazing. She was kind of just there silently, like she was doing her thing, but she was listening to Harper's answers. She was watching what was going on. Even at the meeting at Peerpoint, she was kind of just letting Harper do all the Harper things. And it's like, the final one was when Eric was yelling at her, she's just standing at the door. So now I'm wondering, what is Petra's mindset? Like, all these chickens kind of have to come home to roost at some point, right? Like, and this show is good at planting seeds and kind of showing us what they bring up later. Even something as small as Denise, Harper's lawyer. Like, Denise's last name is Oldroyd. You know who else's last name was Oldroyd? Seb, her season 1 boyfriend. So
really?
Yes. So I'm guessing they're related somehow. And that's how that's how Yasmin has that connection. So literally something that small. I'm wondering, okay, what have we been seeing Petra go through? What have we been seeing Petra struggle with? What do we know about what Petra wants and the kind of person that she is? All these things together, what can we expect from Petra as the season is ending? What do you guys think?
So with Petra, following everything we've seen and everything you've just spoken about, I somehow think she is saying something. She's a tool for making Conrad to say something, in the sense that she makes that statement in this episode that I am your current colleague. Yasmin's an ex-colleague. Anna wanted to be friends with her, and she's like, what kind of friendship can we have? So I think Petra's thing is work above all. It's the same thing she tried to say to Harper, right? So right now, when you said she was standing by the window looking at that, she's probably thinking to herself, also, this is what happens when you blur the lines between, you know, a colleague relationship, and then you become too much like a mentorship. It becomes too much like...
Yeah, she literally says this is why we keep things professional. Exactly.
So I think that's Petra's role in this. I'm obviously guessing how it's going to end up for her. Even when Harper tries to bring up the thing with her son, right? Petra hasn't had an emotional slip up so far. She hasn't shown any part of herself to anybody except for the fact that I want to be good at my job. I want to be known that I'm good at my job. She doesn't even care about ESG, right? And this is not even emotional, but this is like moral. She doesn't care, but she's just my business.
Yeah, I think like she's just very good at compartmentalizing, which you kind of have to be good at in this job. I mean, Harper's also good at compartmentalizing. She slips in this episode, but she's basically the kind of person to say, my work is my work. I'm here to do the best thing I can do. And I go. And I think it's really interesting because in the episode, I actually noted the line when she says to Harper, she's like, why does your friend even need a job in finance? She's not like us. And I feel like that is a very good indicator of the way that she perceives the world. She respects the people with ideas, the go-getters, and the way she lives life is that she's one and she needs to go get her bag. Like, she doesn't respect, like, she doesn't even understand. I think she's even thinking, if I was going to have sympathy for her, let her be good at her job. No. Let her be struggling. No. Why the fuck should I care that she's
being
amenable enough to be lured into this, I don't know, fucking trap, basically.
Yeah.
So I think Petra is interesting to me in the sense that, like, she's clearly not ethical. She's not that ethical to basically do a trade like this. And she's also not, I don't know, I feel like she's not as straight-laced as she presented herself to be. Like, I feel like if there's a buck to be made, she will bend. I don't think she would do it as flagrantly on Harper, just because somebody who's that precise definitely has a high spirit of self-preservation. They're not a suicide bomber like Harper. Yeah. But I still think that she is incredibly shrewd. And so she's basically all about her money. She's another Beyonce. She's all about her money.
I think one thing Petra could be an analog to Rishi, right? In the sense that Rishi is the way he is at work, where he's this macho man, blah blah, taking risk, and he doesn't know how to turn it off when he gets home. Petra might be the same in the sense that she's not able to have human relationships because she sees everything as, you know,
a transaction.
Exactly. As a incoming, outgoing, what are you giving me? What am I giving you situation? I don't know. Maybe they will explore it, maybe they won't, but that's how I see Petra as potentially being.
I'm intrigued where Harper takes her. I feel like anyone who chooses to ally with someone who has nothing to lose. I think maybe Nasha has a bit more to lose. She'll be a bit more tamed, but the way the tables turn in this show, who knows?
As long as you're printing biz, you're free.
Yeah.
That is fair. That's a fair point. With Petra and Harper's relationship, I mean, that's kind of the only relationship Harper has left, right? Except for maybe Rob. But at this point, I feel like if I was Rob, I'd be like, you know, let's see how I can be peacemaker. But I don't know if there's anything he can truly do. And of course, they're all still living in that place. I'm guessing after episode 6, Harper's going to move out. I mean, she has hedge fund money, so it's not like she has to stay there. So there is that. But I guess thinking about some of the other characters as we look into episode 7, we didn't see Muck this episode. But we heard about him. And we heard he's not doing great. Right? Uncle Alexander called. And Yasmin has a lot to think about. So what do you guys have to say on that?
I'm so sorry, Alexander. I just need to say this, Hajer, you can go after this. Alexander is one of the funniest people in the world. Not because he's actually funny, but because the way he talks about anything, right, with such an air of...
He's so blasé.
Yeah. Like, you
might have to spike the story.
And he's like, I kind of don't want him to kill himself. So if you would please just go mommy.
Just get back with him. Like,
wait, are you talking about Alexander or Henry?
Alexander
Norton.
Yeah, he was like, you know, I don't want him to kill himself. So if you would please be gracious enough to mummy him.
Yeah, let's see if we can prevent that. You know, like that would be a shame.
I really like that scene of him walking through the Scottish Highlands or wherever he was. It looked like he was at Balmoral or something.
Yeah.
And I felt like I love that scene because I was telling my friend that this episode was about fathers and daughters. And I feel like it's really significant that they show his daughters. One, that he says, despite him having 3 daughters, he's leaving everything to Henry. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if that's just an aristocracy thing. If it's still just that rigid, it has to go all to men. But I also thought it was really interesting that despite that phone call and how he is, the way that they're looking at him, laughing, walking up, and then obviously the horrible scene with Yaz and her father at the beginning. I really like that scene. It made me realize that look at how cruel and cold he is to someone else. But when it has to do with his, like there's warmth there, there's like a clear family air around these people. And then the idea that Yaz and her father, despite the way he treats that worker on a boat, is the way he treats her. In fact, he treats her even worse. And I thought that was really interesting. And I like that they did that. And I like that they have this like weird guardian angel for Henry Muck. But I also think that if Yasmin is smart, she better get on that trophy wife bullshit. You know what I thought was so funny? You know how she's like, I speak 7 fucking languages. You know, that's what people say about Melania Trump. Like, oh, she's not just a trophy wife. She speaks 5 languages. Yasmin better get in her Melania Trump bag and go and wife Henry Muck and just marry her dad for the rest of her life and just probably have an affair when she's like 40 years old living in a Paris apartment.
Henry Muck is Yasmin's.
He can be her first husband.
I wonder how rich. I wonder how rich he is. I'm just going to say that.
Well, he's very rich.
I want to see how he comes back into the next episode, if he does, or for the rest of the season. That's what I'm curious about. I have no predictions on where he's going to go, but I'm curious about that.
I believe he's very wealthy.
Yeah, but
I think so.
Wealthy enough to affect the happenings in the show. That's the gamble I'm thinking about. If he's wealthy enough to change anything that is currently happening in the show.
He's definitely wealthy enough to change the life of Yasmin, who is poor, dead broke. She's dead broke. Didn't you see her having to take the bus with the man vomiting next to her? Last season, she was with Addison Lee.
Why isn't she? But like, why isn't she still taking Addison Lee? Like, she's still an investment banker.
Maybe her account is still linked to her.
I mean, she's an associate sales exec. She can definitely afford an Uber. But maybe she's just she's scared now. You know?
But remember what we said last week on the trading desk. Maybe Yasmin's arc, part of Yasmin's arc this season is learning how to slum it.
Yeah, perhaps.
Who's he paying Rob rent? Like,
he might sell that house. It's quite possible that he's already sold it by the time episode 7 starts.
Rob is good. He got $500K from Clemens.
Rob is so funny. He literally did his sassy little walk and he was like, bye guys, I didn't give a fuck.
That walk is still killing me, bro.
So I'm so sorry. Like, I love that they included that scene because they didn't have to. They just felt like, let me put one in here for the people. So they know that their boy Rob is okay.
Yeah, ayahuasca equals freedom, guys.
Yeah, honestly. I don't know. Looking at the season trailer, the season teaser as well, I'm thinking about some of the visuals that we saw there that we haven't actually seen in the show yet, right? There is the sweeping shot of a country estate, right? I'm assuming that's Henry Muck's. There is Henry Muck walking out of what is basically a castle, most likely. There is also Robert saying some of my favorite words from that trailer, the overarching through line, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like he's inviting us to come on a journey. He's like, join us on the ground floor of what is bound to be a spectacular journey. If you think you've seen something, you haven't seen anything at all. And I don't know if that's going to happen in episode 7 or 8 because that Robert looks very... It's almost different, right? He is different from the Robert that we see in episode 1 of this season. So it's kind of like Robert's arc maybe to be building to a place where he's nonchalant, right? He's truly nonchalant, where he becomes maybe even like Clement. He actually has confidence because he understands his place. So now he's somehow managed to still be in Muck's circle. And I know we're going to be seeing a lot of Muck. We're going to be seeing a lot of Norton, we're going to be seeing a lot of Mostyn, which means, of course, we're going to be seeing a lot of Harper because Harper is directly in business with Mostyn. It's like, that's now where that link is. Before, Mostyn's link to our main through line was Rob because he was linked with Muck, who is linked with Rob. But now Mostyn has a direct line to Harper, who he godfathered, as he put it. The man is basically Logan Roy, but English. So, so at this point, I wonder... what can we kind of...
In that case, is Henry cousin Greg?
Whoa.
Henry's a mix between Greg.
If he's like the off-kilter child.
Henry kind of, now that you mention it, Henry might be like Connor, because it's like, I don't need this money, but I'm gonna start doing random ventures, and because I think I'm gonna change the world, like Connor trying to be president.
He wanted to own a Lumi ESG company at a very young age, guys.
Oh my god! And
That's
and
He had aspirations at a very young age to IPO a flop ESG company.
Oh my goodness.
Henry Markman. It's interesting though, like not to make another link, but we're talking about how Harper really wants what Yasmin has and how Yasmin really wants what Harper has. And Hajer was saying how for some people it might not even be the money, it's just the desirability, right? And you have someone like Muck who has all the money in the world. He could do anything he wants, but he just wants to start a company. He wants to be on the face of the London Stock Exchange, asking if they took his picture when he cut the ribbon. Like all these little vain things that you would think mean nothing, but
they mean everything. They mean
because
everything.
he wants a legacy.
Yeah.
Even though he has all the money and he's a sir. I'm so okay. So guys, educate me on this. This is just a random education corner, right? I always thought you had to do something great to be knighted and called a sir. Is this something that could be passed down through family?
I think if you're a baron, you're a sir. One of those two. You can have a title. You can inherit the title of sir by some way through like
family,
owning land or aristocracy. Or I think if you're that royal, one of your old people were probably knighted by some other royal, and the sir passes on. But don't quote me on that. But I think that's kind of how it is.
I will do my Googles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Muck's place in the story is sort of to, bring us into essentially a new world, right? It's like an expanded world. We spent most of the first 2 seasons just in Peerpoint dealing with essentially what feels like skirmishes compared to what we're dealing with in season 3. Now it's like we're dealing with big money. We're dealing with generational wealth. And the people, and even the government, right? We've seen what Aurora is doing. I mean, she had us in the first half. So now it's like...
She didn't have me, girl. I'm that cynical about fucking politicians. Fuck them.
Oh my God. Nah, she's crazy. The fact that they fully named her Aurora Adekunle is it just gets me every time. But it is what it is. One other scene actually from the, I guess let me call it the trailer slash teaser. We see Yasmin sitting down at Hanani Publishing with, I guess, somebody that might be, I don't know who that person is, some kind of estate manager, somebody in charge of the publishing. And Yasmin looks very shocked in that moment. I'm not sure what that's about, but that's something that we can probably look forward to either in 7 or 8. We also know that the girl who was pregnant and also happened to be on top of Charles Hanani in all the flashbacks, the Spanish girl, she apparently has things to say and a testimony to provide, according to Denise. So I don't know where that's going to lead, and if that's going to be something, if that's going to be something that Yasmin should worry about. So
I really hope not.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to fucking trial. Like, I'm not an industry for watch that. Like, I can watch The Good Wife or Presumed Innocent. Like, I really hope that like tabloid shit is just that. If anything, I'm more interested in the kind of estate consequences and the company consequences of her father's death and embezzlement, and what that means for Yasmin as like a reputational level. I'm not interested in watching our girl go to jail. She's like way too dumb for that. Like, come on.
They're not going to do that.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I'm confident in saying they won't. Every time you've thought Conrad and Mickey were going to do something that would make you stop, like making Yasmin.
I'm very confident. I think I'm confident.
They didn't.
Yeah, like as Conrad said, they like to avoid melodrama.
Yeah, I think so. Ooh, but margin call, guys. Are you excited?
Margin call.
We're doing a margin call. Oh God, that sounds.
But here's the thing, though. From what I understand, that's only really just one of the plot lines in this episode. Like, it's not really going to be something that affects the entire thing. But I feel like whatever part it does affect is going to have like ripples.
Okay,
right?
okay, guys. Let's pick our margin call and 12 angry men starting 5 from the industry cast, right?
I haven't seen 12 Angry Men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just imagine the fire, right? Imagine there's 12 men in a room, in a jury, trying to decide if someone's guilty or not. So you just have to pick 5 industry characters who you would like to see in such a high stakes do or die scenario with the company going bust.
Oh,
They have to make decisions.
They have to
fucking
make
Eric,
decisions.
bro. Number 1 pick. Eric is my number 1 draft pick. Rishi. Yes, babe. Rishi.
Sweetpea,
Seems we're all on the same page.
No,
Sweetpea.
fucking Anraj. Fuck Sweetpea. Fucking Anraj. I want to see him and his gilet stressed. I want to see the crumple of the gilet. I want him to take off the gilet, take off the sweater vest.
Sweat his mustache.
He's going to take off his glasses for the first time. And
Anraj looks like he'll be a good sweater. I'm sorry for putting that image in you guys' head, but it looks like someone who would look very funny sweating.
You're a horrible person.
I'm also going to add Robert to this because now.
Oh no! Please, not my boy.
In terms of making decisions, right? Because we saw what Peerpoint tried to do to him in episode 5.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to watch him on such a council. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, like if he's been told, like, "Oh, you're disposable," fucking
just firing from
disposable.
The hip,
I am
doing whatever I think.
Ooh, what else? Exactly. What else? Who else? I would love to see Harper in that situation because she's such a fucking psycho. She's my favorite psycho. I love her.
Harper, yeah.
By the way, guys, I actually don't think she's a psycho. I don't think she's a narcissist. I don't think she's a sociopath. Those are medical terms that I wouldn't use on her. I would describe her as a more sinister third thing. A third more sinister thing that's not a narcissist or a sociopath.
Just a high-powered lady in finance.
With no qualms.
She is somebody who's just trying to make it. She's trying to claw her way.
Yeah,
and she honestly just doesn't want the carpet, the rug taken away from under her. So it makes sense. Okay, so before we wrap up, as I usually do, talk to Bankole a bit about episode 7 in a way that's not going to kind of reveal too much about what we can see or what we will see. And what he said was that in this episode, Eric tries to use history to save a soul, and Rob and Yaz speak earnestly over pizza, chips, and red wine. What do we make of this line? Because I know that, because I was going to mention another scene that we've seen in the trailer / teaser is Robert and Yasmin sitting down on what seems to be a park bench. And red wine has played a lot of a role in Yasmin's season 3. I mean, it's just everywhere. Like her and her dad throwing it on her, Muck giving it to her drinking it on the bus, dropping it on the bus, drinking it after getting slapped by Harper. And now she's about to have more red wine with Robert. I feel like that's not an accident. Like this whole red wine thing is something that I'm thinking about. So how do you guys feel?
I have no thoughts or propositions about that. I'm so sorry. I want to go Google what red wine might mean in media, but I literally, because I don't want I don't want Robert and Yaz to end up together. So I wonder what that conversation would be like, right? And I don't want them to still explore what could have been. I just don't want them to have that conversation. So I'm scared.
A lot of people are shipping them now. So
no, please.
I think it might be a way to round up the red wine, round up where the red wine has been going. It's been thrown at her. It's been solitude. It's been, comfort. It's been something that's been used to solicit her, to impress her. And it's been used for her she's literally swallowed it in the face of a slap from someone she held very dear. So maybe this is, the red wine finally being used for what it's meant to be enjoyed with a good meal with a good friend. Maybe it's the end of red wine being something bad. I don't know. But
for what it's worth, I'd never drink red wine if something bad happened to me. The taste is way too strong. I'll remember that slap every time I tasted red wine.
Okay.
That's a fair point. Okay. On that note, let's just wrap it up. Unless you guys have any final thoughts.
I'm really intrigued by what Banky said about Eric. Save a soul is really, really interesting. I don't remember the last person who tried to
Because like,
save a
whose soul
soul.
is he trying to save?
As,
Definitely
except
not
maybe
Harper's.
the HR lady in the first season.
The soul of Peerpoint.
Who's trying to save a soul? I don't know, maybe Adler, because he's dying, but I don't
I thought
know.
about Adler. Yeah,
Yeah, he's dying. Who else? Whose soul needs saving?
Harper.
but
Well,
Eric is not
Maybe.
trying to save Harper.
Yeah,
Maybe
he's
his
not
own-
interested in her redemption.
Maybe
at all.
Petra. Maybe he's trying to save Petra from Harper.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. And they have history. My final thought is also related to Eric, and it's a desperate plea to Mickey and Conrad. And it's been
Okay.
2 episodes in a row now. Episode 5, I saw some pee. Episode 6, I saw some semen. I am just begging Mickey and Conrad, do not show me someone's
Shit or something.
in episode 7, right?
Maybe,
Like,
okay, maybe what you're getting next is blood.
Just say that is like, can I say something? That brought
Yes, please.
out, that scene brought out a reaction in me that obviously Ebuka witnessed that has not been provoked in a very long time from me. I was genuinely,
Shocked.
I was flabbergasted. I was aghast. I was, wow. I did not like, I literally was saying that there's rock bottom and then there's the underworld with Hades, which is where Eric is.
Because it was one thing to see him go to the bathroom. I thought he was just like trying to hide from all the people staring at him. Then we see what he's doing in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, didn't expect that, but right, here we are. But then they showed us the wall,
just
and it's
shuddered.
like, guys,
Yeah, like at that point, I wanted to slap the laptop and be like, you're going to hell. You're going to hell. You're going to hell. You're going to jail. You're going
It's like I
under
said,
the
they were
jail
like,
house, please.
they're like, oh,
Under
we're
the
not sure if
jailhouse.
we can sexualize Eric. And then they're like,
Interesting.
yeah, maybe we can sexualize Eric. And then they're just
take
like,
it even too far. Yeah.
Can I say though, Ken Lung is oh my god, he's such a fantastic actor. Like
he's doing an amazing
really,
job.
really fantastic actor. His fight with Harper, his facial expressions, his gait, his drunkenness that you can feel through the episode, and the sobering up that he does when he says a fucking list is fantastic. Fantastic.
Like,
All of
that's the
it.
moment where he actually woke
Hands
up.
across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
For
was
me-
when he woke up.
It wasn't even a fucking list, because that line reading was amazing. It was literally the expression right before it clocked for him when he was like,
Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
"Oh my god!"
He was actually he was incredulous because he's like, I cannot believe what you're telling me right now. Like, I can't believe you allowed this to happen. Though, funny
reason-
enough, he was invited to this meeting and didn't go.
Oh, it's thank God we didn't get into that. I was just explaining or giving a reason why he was mostly a fault for that.
No, he was. He should have been there.
But the reason why I would give Ken Long an Emmy nom at least is that he's doing one of those things where I fully believe the actor is Eric. Like, I really think there's things
Yeah.
he does that are not in the script or the screenplay that he just
Yeah.
feels and does as Eric. So yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Just his facial reactions. And I like that Hajer mentioned his gait, because there's something about the physicality of Eric that is so subtle yet so real.
He's so pathetic. He really is a vampire.
Yeah, like
honestly.
one example, vampire. One example that comes
Yes.
to mind is in episode 3, right, where Harper says, "Look at me," and the way he turned his head, I was actually a little bit afraid.
Perfection. Honestly, perfection.
Like this was like
Perfection.
that was real, like, underlying rage.
Yeah.
That was
like you could feel his
offense.
body vibrate.
Yeah, he was genuinely very. And then she's like, "There's glitter on your face," and he starts laughing. It's crazy. Like, the man is kind of aware that he's spiraling. He's trying to stop the spiraling. Meanwhile, he's trying to figure out that, hey, I'm still young and spry. I'm still the guy I used to be. But he's not that guy, and he's just not accepting it. Meanwhile, his friend, Adler, who he trained and is now actually higher than him in the company, is dying. So there's just so much I can imagine going on in Eric's head, because he also knows that Peerpoint is kind of about to lose it. I mean, props to Sweetpea for figuring it out first. And I don't know. I don't know, man. There's so much that could happen at this point. I love how many directions this could go. We're going to be here next week scratching our heads like, how did this happen?
And all of our predictions will have gone to nothing. And they'll surprise us once again.
I mean, hey, some of them could work. I mean, we first of all, Osegali, like 6 weeks ago, was here saying Yasmin killed her dad. I was like, interesting thoughts. Now I have to send flowers to his house or something. That's number one. And number two, MK was saying that Harper is going to shut the hell out of Peerpoint.
Yes.
Look where we are now.
And that's what she did in the next episode.
Yeah. So yeah. But I guess that's a good place to call it. Thank you all so much for listening up until this point. Thank you so much to Hajer for joining Ebuka and I. This has been a fun discussion, and we're looking forward to having more of them next week on the Trading Desk. Definitely catch us and catch Brankole and Ayo as they cover episode 7 right after it airs. We're still covering Slow Horses, like I said. So definitely join Obiora, Aisha, and Chris on that train because there's just way too much going on right now. This is an excellent time for content. I feel like so many things we're watching right now are going to receive awards, actually deserved awards. So we're glad to kind of be enjoying
shade?
this time.
Is that shade?
Maybe it's a little shade. Let's end the podcast. Bye, guys.